What's up, dude?
It's all good, man. Now you left us all hanging in the chat with whatever you were gonna say.
Yeah, I don't. I was gonna say something like, uh, so you're supposed to make about 4 hellions a minute, and then if the person was like, "Well, vibe with the, you can actually make 6 a minute though," and then I'd be like, "Well, okay. Here's the thing. You actually don't want to disrupt your SCVs, and you want to make sure SCVs are priority. And like, it's just like, even though they're right, I could make some bullshit up and be like, no, I'm still right."
That makes total sense. Yeah, totally. Bullshit.
But yeah,
So,
how's your strat going, dude? How's it going?
hey man, it's doing much better since our last coaching session.
Nice.
Definitely TVT is like from night to day. Still struggle with TVP, but that's been me forever, so it's nothing new.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely the TVT has been much better. I started applying the tip you told me about the army selection and splitting, like um, control army, like F1 alt, uh, F2 control 2, then
Alt two,
select one,
or
alt
the
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, all that crazy. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, that's been doing much better, and just the opening that we review has made my percentage win rate go from like 30% honestly to like 50, which is acceptable. And I've been trying to get the hang of it. It's a totally new build order. It's very different to anything I have been done before, or and that actually have been done for years. Have been doing for years. Um, but yeah, I'm still trying to get the hang of it. Trying not to forget things because it just works very different from all of the other build orders that I already know from the other two matchups. But yeah, it's been definitely challenging, interesting. Just like I've been going back and forth to the video we recorded. I found it very instructive. It was even funny, like seeing myself play. You learn so much from just watching those videos and just re-listening to your tips. You realize how much you missed
Sure. Yeah.
when I was actually playing. Yeah,
No, for sure. I mean, that's
yeah.
awesome, man. I'm glad it's been helping you. That's fucking sick.
Yeah, it's definitely better. And my MMR was in 3.5 back then, and now I made it to Diamond One. I went back to 3.8, 3.7. Like I'm still in that range, but for the first time in my life, I made it to Diamond One, which is a huge success for me,
Hell
and I'm
yeah.
really happy with it.
That's awesome. That's fucking sick, dude. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking about today for what you want to work on today specifically? Do you want to do kind of like generalized stuff, or you want to like focus on a matchup specifically?
Uh, you know what? TvZ is my favorite matchup. I was wondering if we could review it today.
Yeah.
You're a reserve player. I feel like I have a lot of fun playing that matchup. It's like my favorite one, and but one of the things that usually caught me off guard is like Zero transitions.
Yeah.
Like, oh, is he
For
going
sure.
lurker? Is he going mutus? And sometimes when that catches me off guard, you might basically lose at the moment just for not scouting properly. And I'm wondering, like, because I know a few things, but I don't know the ropes of scouting in TVC. Like, what things should I look for when, so if he's going muta, which signs you should look for and when, or if he's going hydra baneling, like, what am I looking for when I'm scouting? When should I be scouting? I've seen that people usually in TVC, it's not common scanning the opponent's space. Usually through harassment, you find out or figure out something. But I'm wondering, like, is there any like landmark or critical point where it's like, hey, if you haven't scouted the tech by now, you should probably scan whatsoever. Things like that.
Yeah, they definitely exist. It kind of depends on the opener of Zerg too. I feel like the thing
Hmm.
that would be more threatening too to make you feel that way would be the later the Zerg decides to take a third base, the more you should be aware of what could potentially happen on the Zerg's two bases, because that means it's probably more tech focused. And yeah,
Hmm.
that's definitely like you could get all in. It doesn't have to be tech; it could just be all in too, right? You could be like, oh, Ravages are on their way, or a big Ling Bane bus, or maybe not so much Ling Bane because Ling Bane needs more larva. But there, I mean, I guess there could be like a macro hatch on this two base maybe, but he just might be going heavier. Like basically, the big thing to be aware of is The less someone expands quickly as Zerg, the more likely they're going to use a lot more gas. And gas results in things that can kill you with tech or things that can kill you right off the bat. So like they'll happen. Those things will happen faster in the game as well. It won't be so defensive with drones and shit like that. So yeah, that just depends on how the Zerg opens, I guess, with your initial scouts and stuff.
Yeah, well, the meta right now is opening hatch first, and I'm not so concerned about link pressure. Usually when I see a pull first, you usually expect link pressure, and if you can kind of like know how to defend yourself, you should be okay.
Yeah.
And get ahead easily. It's more like, okay, so I have the Zerg. He's opening like hatch first. So like, when is a late third? What is an early third? And when is the transition happening? What should I look for when my Reaper's inside the base? What should I, for example, what does the layer timing tells me? Things like that. I just have no idea.
Sure.
I usually hear people mention those things, and I'm like, I wonder I knew anything about that.
Yeah. Well, I would say we can do a couple choices. If did you have a replay prepared or did you send me one? And if you did, we can check that out. If not, we can do something live as well. Because I
think.
Or go ahead, sorry.
I hear you. Right. Okay, I'll go ahead. Sorry. I think right before you called me, like an hour ago, I played the TvZ. Actually, so.
Oh, sick. So you want to check that out?
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering, like, yeah. Let's check it out.
Sure, let's do it. Just send it to me on Discord, and I'll share my screen with you so you can see everything that I'm seeing. And then this way, because I do want to tell you a lot of stuff. I just don't want to get too carried away about not giving you visuals too, because I feel like a visual while explaining something, it'll make it to where I'll make it more like of a thorough explanation for you, because it'll be easier to talk about things.
Yeah. Oh, do I send it to you via Discord, right?
Yeah, you can just drag it and drop it into the little text chat we have at the bottom of the call.
All right.
Nice.
Should have gone through?
Yep, I got it. I'm opening it up right now, and then I'll share my screen to you. So now you should be able to see my StarCraft right now.
There you go.
And then you can see like everything that I see. So it's easy to explain what's going on here. Okay. So generally speaking, Zerg has a lot of types of like openers that they can go for. Obviously, like everyone does. It's not just Zerg. Everyone has a lot of different types of openers they can go for. So right now, you're just going for standard. It's going to be what I would assume is going to be like a Reaper expand. And then from there, we'll break it down and talk about choices that you should make and things that you can think about. That makes sense. Speed it up just a little bit because your build so far is fine. Like you're not missing a.
Just a little heads up. I usually open with the 6 aliens, so
that's
like
fine.
I expand, swap my factory, 6 aliens. I usually don't do the early third, like before the starport. I actually do the starport and then the third.
Sure.
But I know there's instances where you can exploit that.
So yeah, that's fine. If you do this though, you need to change how you use your Reaper. So like the Reaper can be used in multiple ways. Like if you know someone, if your build, for instance, is not susceptible to dying to like an early roach pressure or something like that, you can use your Reaper more aggressively to like deny the third base or to deny creep, stuff like that, like to be annoying in the front of the Zerg's base. However, if you're doing a build like Hellions as an opener behind a Reaper, you 100% will die if you don't realize the Zerg just made like 8 roaches and is coming across the map to kill you right now. So you have to be a lot more assertive about getting into his base and scouting to make sure not only is he not crazy mining gas right now, but on top of that, making sure he doesn't have a roach-horn tech building in his base somewhere, like something like that. If it's a Ling Bane bust and you go Hellions, you can still survive that because Hellions are actually really good against Ling Bane in general. It's not bad.
Yeah, you're right.
But Roach, you literally just die against Roaches if he shows up with 8 Roaches and you have 6 Hellions.
Yeah, you're totally right. I usually for that either do make a tank or a
oh, for sure. That's
Cyclone.
That's exactly what you'd want to do, but you'd have to do that before he gets to your base, which is why the Reaper scouting would need to change.
My Reaper scouting should be more thorough and Hmm.
Oh, sorry. I thought yeah. I thought you were. So I haven't said it yet. I haven't seen what you've done yet. I just, but we'll see what you do in a second.
Got it. All right, let's watch.
Yeah, I just don't want. I don't want to beat you up before it even happens. Like you got to play better, and you're like, okay, play better. And, like, I haven't
We always
seen what you
do.
Okay, so your SCV scout, I would say this. Let's back up to your SCV really fast. When your SCV crosses the map, this is just for the sake of maximizing your money. Okay, so once you see this, you honestly could turn around. Like your SCV does not even need to go to the main base. Like if you want to, you totally can. I'm not telling you that you can't. If you totally can if you decide, yeah, I feel like scouting the main. But it's kind of redundant to scout the main right now if you're already sending a Reaper across the map anyways. Because the reason why is because your scouting should not be like, again, you're like what I just said is very relevant. Like before this, the way you scout with a Reaper should not be based on what you think the Zerg is doing. It should be based on what you're vulnerable to with your opener. So you're vulnerable to a tech opener that is going to rush you with roaches because you're going to go Hellions. So you should change your scouting methods with a Reaper now to, instead of going into the natural and being annoying at the natural, you should probably be the kind of guy that first jumps in the main base and goes to the main and checks the gas. And then you can harass a drone if there's drone availability. And then from there, if you identify, oh, yeah, Zerg is greedy, not a gas guy, you can then rotate back into the other kind of a Terran player who goes back to the front of the base and goes creep teamer harass, third base harass. But if you're the kind of Terran, again, that's going Hellions, and you scout, there is a lot of gas being mined still. And like, let's say he's mined like 130 gas by the time you get there, and you're like, okay, he's mined 30 gas over 100, and he still has 3 on the gas. This is fucking scary. You do not harass third base anymore at all. You do not try to kill drones either, because you don't want to take free damage on your Reaper. You want to have as much free time running around his base away from the queens as possible. And you want to like maybe like shoot a drone to lure a queen out of position, so you can like get his queen to come this way or something, and you can run around and like go around him and like come down this way and go around over here and try to poke in and out just to try to see tech. So again, it's all based off of what your choices as an opener are to cover the hole in your build. And it makes the mid game easier for you if you make the right choices there. So like I said, this SCV, if you're going to scout with the Reaper anyways, and you know what your follow-up's going to be already, what you want it to be, this scout doesn't do a whole lot because it tells you, like, I mean, this is what I would say from the scout if I were you. If you commit this SCV to scouting, again, it's only going from there to there, and then it can go back home now. It's not the hugest deal. It's not like, oh my god, this SCV is missing so much money right now. You're investing probably an extra like 15 minerals to do this. And the reason why I say that is because the amount of time you have to now spend extra to go from here to here and then back here again is probably going to be like 7 or 8 seconds this way and then 7 or 8 seconds back this way again. And an SCV mines about 1 mineral per second. So you're missing about 15 minerals, which is not the end of the world with one SCV. It's not going to make or break the game for you that much. It's really minor. So it's fine. But now you did what your Reaper could have seen anyways. You see this with your SCV. And what you see is you see 1 drone on the gas. And this gas, if you click it, has not yet mined 100 gas. This gas has only mined, if you do the math on it, it has 2250 by default. So you don't have to do perfect math here. You can just be like, he's mined roughly 70 or 80. It's really 72, but like out of the geyser has been ripped off the geyser so far. But you can literally look at that and go, that's like not 100 yet. It's under 100, and he's already got only 1 drone on gas. This is not a Zerg player who has the intentions to make a roach warren and rush you with roaches at all. This is the kind of Zerg, and that's the only thing you should be scared of right now with your opener. You're now instead going to be dealing with a Zerg player who's most likely got a drone already over here. So if you wanted to, you could 100% smash it like a drone right now, like try to kill a drone. I said that wrong. This is not a Reaper. I was for some reason thinking this was a Reaper. You cannot kill a drone.
But I got you.
But yeah, like the last part, when I said you could kill a drone, you obviously can't kill a drone because your Reaper's not here. It's an SCV. But
Yeah.
you know what he's doing, though. He's probably going to go take a third base. My guess would be when your Reaper crosses the map, if this guy already has such a low drone count on the gas, you can now, if you're gonna take the SCV and do this, you can now make the choice to go, okay, Reaper, I want you to go there right away. Because watch this. If the Zerg player does that, let's see what you do with your Reaper. I just want to watch. Okay, you're taking a left turn and you're going towards the natural. Now you go to the natural and you're here and you're, gonna.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. I'm not too much of a stickler being like, you stop for a second. But I would not be surprised if there's a drone hiding over here right now. And there you go.
There you go.
So
you called it.
Look at your Reaper. If we look at all vision, what if your Reaper, instead of taking a left turn right here, what if he just went straight down? Right?
You would have caught it on time.
Yeah. You could have. Actually, this guy took a fucking really early third. He's actually like that's pretty quick. Like he took that super fast. So there's a chance you still wouldn't break that. There is a meta that has evolved for Zerg where they know Terrans like to do this, so they try to get the third down before the Reaper blocks it. It's just the thing. So, but it's still worth trying. And what you could do, what it would do for you as well is you could go, okay, SCV confirmed. There's only one guy on the gas earlier, and now I go to the third base, assuming this guy wants to expand. When you get to the third base, if the Zerg player has a build that is, ideally set up to not let the Reaper block him, and you just confirm, oh yeah, nope, there's a third base, it guarantees, without a shadow of a doubt, there is no chance that as soon as your SCV left his base, that he put 2 drones back on gas and is now going to roach all on you or something. It is physically impossible. What the drone showed you over here was that he's doing a mineral-focused build. Not gas-focused, mineral-focused. And what this shows you is that it confirms your assumption of mineral focus, because you cannot take a third and then do gas this fast. He would have 7 larvae sitting there all the time if he tried to do that. He would not be able to make his money properly. So this confirms, yeah, this guy is going to go for a lot of drones on a third base and a natural and all of it. He's going to go queens and lings and drones. This is what this guy's doing. And now this build is like about one of the best things you can hope for if you open Hellions. So it confirms that your build is going to do well. So like you've now, with a scout off the start of the game, you would have confirmed there are things that I could be afraid of that Zerg could do, and now there's nothing that Zerg can do in this game that I should be afraid of as an opener. And it now confirms that your Hellions are going to have a lot of success, ideally. So up to this point, with your initial scout, with how you set it up, and again, you could have done it with just the Reaper, and if you do it with just the Reaper, you should jump in the main first if it's just the Reaper. And then if you saw 1 drone on gas when your Reaper goes into the main base, and he still has not started speed yet, because he still hasn't started it yet, and your Reaper's like right here, so that's a late fucking speed, and you're like, what are you doing? You should 100% harass whatever you can until the queen spawns, and then immediately jump out of the base and go check the third to confirm it. And then if you confirm it, then once again, you're like, late gas. Is his third here? Yes, it is. Okay, we've now confirmed where my Hellions want to go later. So far, any questions about what I said?
Yeah. A couple questions real quick. I used to scout with my ACV only to the natural, and then send it right back. I usually sometimes would actually send it to the third, just in case an early third would happen like this, and try to block it a little bit. Okay. Sometimes the Reaper could join right after, and I sometimes could even kill the drone. The reason I started sending it to the main base is like, and I totally understand how sending the SCV back can be better in the long end, just because you save some minerals. What will be like a scouting approach? The reason I send it to the inside of the base is just like, as you said, checking the gas. Mm-hmm. If you wouldn't mind 100 gas, just to be aware that he's doing that roach push. So if I send the SCV back right away, so just sending the Reaper to the main instead of to the natural, and checking real quick the status of the gas, like if how much is mined, and how many workers he has in the gas, will that be enough to confirm an aggressive play?
Yeah, it should, because here's the thing. It does confirm roach aggression. It does not confirm ling aggression. But the only reason why you only care about roach aggression is because Hellions can already deal with ling aggression anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
Okay, so that I can do.
yeah.
Incorporate that for
So and
sure.
the reason, so like I'm totally down as well. If you want to go for an SUV scout at the natural and confirm, because again the big thing that confirms is that tells you
Hmm.
how on time is the natural. The natural should be finishing around 2 minutes, and your SUV gets here around 2 minutes. So if the hatchery's finishing like as you arrive, you're like, cool. I am not getting early pool first essentially. So my Reaper can now run across the map, and I have no fear of Lings running around me and killing my SUV building my command center. But if the hatchery was like 70% of the way done, or like 50% of the way done, and you go, all right,
Yeah.
let's go down to his base now. And then suddenly your Reaper's like right here, and six Lings jump on your SUV and start smacking your command
Yeah.
center, and you're like, fuck. That's why the SUV scout's
Yeah,
so
it's
huge,
happened.
right? Because,
It's
yeah,
happened.
for sure. No, it's super annoying when that happens. So that tells you that you're safe to move the Reaper out with the initial scout. And then the Reaper can continue to scout for you, and that's totally fine. And if
Hmm.
you want to, like if you want to go into the main base, you can then be a little bit more aggressive with your Reaper if you scout the Zerg's gas for the moment in time. Like your Reaper can then be more assertive about trying to kill drones or something. But if your SCV, if you decide to do that, it is impossible to block the hatchery because it'll go down too fast. However,
Yes.
if your SCV goes to the natural and then immediately shifts and goes, yeah, cool, Reaper can move out, I'm good to go. There's a natural that's finishing fast. SCV, immediately go to the third base and do a patrol circle. Block the third, be annoying. And then Reaper could come down and confirm that too. And like that's a chance though. And I would say if the drone has not tried to build a hatchery next to your SCV before your Reaper gets there, he's not going for a third base. And if that's what you're doing, once again, you should immediately run to the main base, not the natural with your Reaper. Because you should confirm what gas is this guy pumping right now. Because if he's pumping full gas, you need to build a tech lab on that racks and swap it into a factory first if you find that out early, or that's not required only. That's one way you could do it to make a really, really fast fucking tank or like a cyclone.
Hmm.
Or you could just make a reactor on your racks and then leave it on the racks and just make Marines in a bunker while making a factory unit to support it or something like that. That'd also be fine. That would also work. So, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But definitely, if you don't see a third base option and you haven't scouted the gas, you always have to check the gas. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's only one kind of a build that Zerg is going to do to you, realistically, that's consistent. That should be something that you should be afraid of. If the Zerg continues to mine gas beyond 100, like I said before, the roaches will kill you. Like if you don't swap something about your opener about not going Mass Hellions. And the other options Zerg could do would be they could go Overlord speed, but I'm going to tell you right now, Overlord speed is really weird if they don't go for a third. You don't really need to go Overlord speed if you're not going for a third. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for Zerg. And we don't have to explain why, because we're not doing a Zerg lesson here. There's a whole reason for that. Long story short, it's really hard to die when you're on two bases as Zerg. You can literally wall the fucking front off, and you're fine. Especially if you're teching anyways. But one of the things the Zerg would probably do, if he's going to take a lot of gas and not go roaches really early and do a rush, he's probably teching. And if he's probably teching, you still, once again, have a Hellion window to do something with again. That's fine. Because you have plenty of time to react to a tech build anyways, by the time after Hellions are done. But here's something cool you could do, though. If you realize a Zerg player is teching, and you're like, okay, this Zerg player is going for 2-base gas, and he's not doing a roach all-in, and I'm still doing my Hellion opener. One thing you could do that would be cool is you could actually make a starport behind your opener, and you could go into a medevac first before add-on or anything, and you could load up Hellions into a medevac and go into his main base and roast drones instead. That's like a cool reaction of something you could do versus someone who techs on 2 bases. And if the guy is playing super greedy and just like making drones and gas and mineral lines and trying to set up his tech that's going to come eventually, and you get in the mineral line because you circumvent a wall and you start roasting like 15 drones in the main, the game just kind of ends right there. That's yeah. So but yeah, you don't have to Hellion drop every game, obviously. That would be an idea versus like a tech build based off a way you could rotate your opener into that.
I usually open my first unit from the starport is a Viking to do some Overlord hunting, but it's good to add that to my repertoire basically.
Yeah.
So definitely I'll watch out for any type of 2-base plays.
It would definitely own 2-base players that tech hard that go greedy with drones initially, because if your Hellions are like I'm sure you've played games before where you go to a Zerg's base and they're two basing you, and it's like a Roachworn, an Evo Chamber, and Queen. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I cannot go in there, and if I try to kill the Queen, my Hellions are going to die to like 2 Queens in the doorway or something
Just
like
pointless,
that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're just like, okay, well, I'll just sit out here for a while and deny your third. But he doesn't want to take a third anyways. He doesn't care. He's not trying to take one. He's teching and rushing you with some type of tech build. So if you actually drop in his main base suddenly, and his Queens are all he has to defend, and you get in here and you roast off like 13 drones, and then you also make him make lings or something at that time because he's like, oh, fuck, my drones are dying. And then suddenly he all-ins you now because he's attacking you with an economy that is not 44, which is what 2-base saturation is perfect on. Instead, he has like 32 drones, and now he's got like a mineral line in the main base that is like 4 out of 16, and he's got 6 gas on here, and then he's got 16 out of 16 and 6 gas here. And it just looks like shit. And the guy's like, oh, well, now this is awkward. Now I got to take off gas again to fix that, or I just all in with no gas, or no minerals and heavy gas. Like, it's just bad for Zerg. That's an easy way. You could take an opener you're already doing and just really ruin his day with that. And then go into whatever you want to do, be it like Marine take medevac or whatever you want to do after that.
Yep, wreaking havoc in Diamond.
So that's really how transitions would go for you and things like that. Now, this little minigame right here you're playing, this little like Reaper versus Zergling minigame, this is fine. And I know this is probably what you see in like every TvZ where it's like, I really want to, you know, like kill Zerglings. This is something that I would say should not be your priority if you're not insanely efficient at making like quick swap defenses. Like this, it feels cool to kill Zerglings, right? You're like, oh, I killed units, nice. But I would say, I'm okay with this the way you're doing it in this game because you already confirmed the gas. You did confirm the gas, so that's fine. But if you didn't confirm the gas yet, the last thing in the world you should do is kill the Zerglings. Definitely go to the main base and scout that as a priority. Because the only thing you should care, like, there are things you should care about right now, and the only thing you should care about right now is, am I gonna die to roaches? And you confirmed with the SCV the first part where he had only 1 drone on gas, which tells you, yeah, probably not gonna die to roaches. That's really bad gas income. And then you confirmed it again right now by scouting the third base as a follow-up to what looks like what a mineral opener should be. Because if a guy is heavy on minerals, what's he gonna do with those minerals? He's gonna take a third, and you just confirmed the third. So now, yeah, you could now this Reaper can do whatever the hell you want to do. You no longer have to care because you now know what his opener fully is. And this Reaper doesn't have to scout all game. It just needs to scout, am I going to die or not right now? That's all it needs to know. And the answer is no now. So this Reaper could die and it's fine. It could go kill Zerglings and it's fine. It could go deny a creep tumor and that's fine. It could kill drones and that's fine. Obviously, it's done its job that it needs to do at this point. And if it dies, that's cool. But if it does any more damage from now, that's just bonus.
Okay.
But it's done its job of what you purchased it for already, for sure.
The little building on the right side of your big building's done.
Be very assertive about killing creep tumors too. So I would say, just as we kind of like talked about priority of how you should scout Zerg, there is a priority of how you should harass Zerg if you want to be really efficient. And you should 100%, when you're going to start trying to get damage done, and you know that the Zerg is going to do this kind of a build, they're always going to go for this because they need to protect it. And if you deny that, it's so easy for a Reaper to kill a creep tumor right when he throws it down. So if you skirt the edge of creep and you go, oh, he's throwing a creep tumor down right now, and you kill that creep tumor, that is 25 seconds of time basically that he really 30 seconds of time that he just wasted trying to make a creep tumor. It takes about roughly 30 seconds for a queen to generate 25 energy, something around there. So that's a big waste of fucking time.
Yeah.
For Zerg right there.
Definitely wouldn't want that to happen to me. So basically, after I confirm the third and that he's not going roaches or anything like that, so basically denying creep tumor, mainly when I identified that he took an early third, will be the next, the following step on my Reaper activity, basically.
Yeah, creep tumor, anything was good. I'd say creep tumor is, if there's a list of priorities, creep tumor denial is definitely number 1. That's amazing if you can do that. That's like it feels that it sets up such a good later stage of the game for you. It makes like your Hellions more effective. It makes the Zerg more susceptible to now tank timings as well, because that first tumor, if you deny it, you got to realize that tumor by 9 minutes in this game, that first tumor is probably going to have spread like 17 times or like 14 times. So if you just straight up kill it, you just indirectly stopped a future spread of about 14 tumors right there. Like it's like the first tumors are always the most useful because they spread the most creep throughout the entire game, because they're always spreading from the earliest part to they're still spreading just like every other tumor is the entire game. So it's huge if you deny that for Zerg right off the bat. And then if you can somehow deny like creep tumor number 2 or 3, that's fucking huge as well, because it just makes your future attacks way easier to make effective, because you can't get swarmed by Zerglings or some shit on creep super as easy. It also makes queen positioning really hard to do. Alright, you should definitely, I would say, move out with these. So, okay, did you hold on? Did you supply block there, or you did?
You did, yeah, I did.
All right, so right here, I would say we'll go back to your build. You make the factory. You have a nice supply cushion. This is good overall. And then you make the starport, and you swap over the factory to then also make a tech lab on your racks eventually. And then you're making Hellions now. This is all hunky-dory, all great. I would say right now, once you start Hellion production, I would love it if you took an SCV and started one by one right now, making a depot wall that connects wall to wall. You don't got like don't pull multiple SCVs, just do one. One SCV, start a depot right now. And the reason why is because your supply rounds are about to start increasing really fast, because a second ago you were literally making supply rounds at 2 supply cycle rounds every time, roughly, because you were making 1 SCV off 1 command center and you're making 1 unit off the racks. But now it has evolved, and now you're still making the 1 SCV, and now you're about to start making a second SCV, because this is about to finish, so you're about to do double SCV cycle rounds of supply boosting. Like your supply is going to go up at a faster pace, but now you're making 4 times the supply that you were making off the racks, because you're making 1 supply cycles off the racks, and now you're making 4 supply cycles off the factory. So this is really fucking fast, so you need to start making sure you start keeping your on top of your supply from now on. So as soon as you start Hellion production, start your depot production, essentially. Like so instead of going up at 2 supply cycles, you're going up at 6 supply cycles, because it's 4 plus 2 instead of 1 plus 1, if that makes sense. Like it goes up a lot faster now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely this part of the game is usually when I get supply blocked the most. So I'll definitely put an eye on that.
So like here's a good tip I would say to you. This is probably going to help you a lot at just making your life easy if you remember this rule. When you start Hellion production, start making your walls 1 SCV at a time. And then do not increase this at all for now. Just let it be. You're then going to make your 3rd command center off of 111. And then as soon as you start adding on more production, whatever you choose to go for, if it's more racks, that's fine. As soon as you make like your additional like 2 racks after your 3rd CC has been started, from now on, as you make depots, start making them 2 at a time. And then do that the rest of the game. 2 at a time, 2 at a time, 2 at a time. And if you stay on top of that, you will be on top of your supply really well for the majority of the game. Because another reason why this is important is as soon as your 3rd base is done, well, okay. There is one part where it kind of deviates a little bit towards the end, like once you get to like 140, 150, towards 200. If you have an idea of going for a 4th command center pretty early, if you're going to be like the more defensive macro control kind of guy, you could not take more than 2 depots at a time, and you could get away with it with a 4th early CC and then eventually a 5th command center, and you're going to have like command center supply also helping you get more supply. However, if you're going to stay 3 command centers for a while and then be the kind of guy that likes to attack, I would say as soon as your 3rd CC is done, and then you start racks like 4 and 5, once you start the next round of racks again, start making depots 3 at a time until you max out on supply.
Okay. All right, I'll put an eye on that.
All right, and then Also, so yeah. This is kind of like the depot thing I was talking about. Like, ideally, you'd want to have more Hellions not being blocked right now, and they would be coming out. And the second you have 4 Hellions, go across the map really fast. Like, go now. Because... And a cool thing you can do, too, is if you think the Zerg player... If you feel like your Reaper early game might have forced more Lings out of the Zerg, potentially. Probably not always, though. Or if you feel like the Zerg player you're playing against is the kind of guy that is going to do a Ling attack to you. This is kind of a guess, just so you know. You could, in theory, I do this sometimes when I play ladder, you could run your Hellions down and pretend to move out. Like, you could run from where you are right now to right there, and then move your Hellions back to, like, right there. And the reason why is because if you watch Zerg's vision right now, what does Zerg see right now? He would watch your Hellions go like this, and then go down. And then if he's the kind of guy that's like, I have Lings over here, ha, 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 ha. I'm going to counterattack you. And you're like, yeah, run your Lings in my base because I'm sitting right there. Because Zerg can, this would be something you would do if the Zerg had a speed focus. I guess it makes more sense if the Zerg prioritized speed early. But if you saw the Zerg did not prioritize speed, like, again, that's something you wouldn't need to do. Because he's not going to have speed for super late. But if a Zerg, just so you know, these are important numbers to know. If a Zerg does prioritize speed off of a fast expand, they're going to have speed at 330. Okay, like about 330 to like 335, speed will finish. So if you moved out of your base right now, there could totally be like 16 speedlings sitting right here at 4 minutes. However, if a Zerg player goes for a delayed gas, like what this guy did, post 4 minutes is usually when speed's going to finish, because they're going to be doing things like prioritizing a third base first, making drones first, like not mining gas to 100 first, really quickly. So it'll be delayed speed. It'll still be in time to defend your Hellions for his base, but it's not really something you should be worried about with like a counterattack as much.
There we go. He's definitely seen my Hellions there.
No, for sure.
So I could use those mind games. Sure.
I mean, cool. This is something that you should. These are things that it's relevant to think about the game this way if you want to evolve as a player. And the reason why this matters is because the reason why I'm telling you all this shit is because you should never, ever, just know this is not a thing anybody does at high level. Never think every game is the same. You should never go into a Terran versus Zerg saying, I'm doing the exact same thing I do every game. Because if you do that, that's how you have 40% win rates or 30% win rates. Because it might work, but on average, every player has a general build that they do, but they make subtle deviations in their playstyle per game to make the most of the situation that they're in based on the opener of their opponent. This is why scouting is important. So if you know your opponent is not because again, there's a difference between this guy going for 3 bases with mass minerals or as opposed to going for 2 bases and mass gas. There is a difference in how you should use your units there. So if he's going for 3 base mass minerals and he has very late gas things like speed, you don't need to be playing a mind game right now because it's a waste of your time to be like, come attack me with your Lings because he's making drones and queens. However, if this guy was heavier on the gas and you saw him getting speed super fucking quick with your first SCV scout, you could then play that mind game then, because that would totally be something you could make work there. Because if this guy is very within his means to do a counterattack as soon as you move out with Hellions because he had speed super fast.
Wow. I had never looked at it that way.
You should, like, right now, it's going to probably feel a little bit overwhelming. I guarantee it will, because there's so much of the game that you can do this with. And you can do it in all matchups as well. And you can do it also, like, we're also just talking about your one opener of Hellions. You can do it based off all your openers as well. And it makes the game have a lot of variance to it. But as you grow as a player, you'll start using your brain to think about, okay, I can do this. And my advantage is actually here, and my disadvantage is that. So I need to somehow scout and cover that and make sure that's not happening. Because if it is, I have to rotate my build. These are things that you'll accumulate over time when you get more comfortable after doing shit like this for enough time. But like for instance, you playing passive so long with your Reaper Hellion makes no sense this game because he's so greedy. So your advantage was to get into his base and fucking, like, if you could kill that creep timber, amazing. If you get over here and you harass drones as they're trying to set up on the third base, amazing. You want to be aggressive with this. That is your advantage. And if you wait too long, you're going to lose it. Because look at what the Zerg has right now. He's got 15 drones on the mineral line right now. And the creep is barely... Like, it's the hatchery, essentially. And if we were to go back a little bit... to when you had 4 Hellions. Look what he has when you had 4 Hellions. We go back right when they spawned. So, like, right about now. So you have 4 Hellions. You could be walking across the map right now. Look what Zerg has right now. He's not even connected on creep. The creep hasn't even fully spread yet. And he's got 1 drone on this base. However, he's fully saturated pretty much. And he's fully saturated. And now, every drone he continues to make is going to go to this base, which is not even properly covered with creep yet. So you're open. Like, this is a window of opportunity here for you to start killing drones that are going to keep saturating this base right now. And 100%, you could be across the map by now with these Hellions and this Reaper. This is like 25, 30 seconds beyond what I just showed you a second ago. And just imagine if you drove in right now and you roasted 5 drones right there, and then he came down with Lings, and then you ran away and killed Lings as you ran away. Like, that'd be huge, because what would happen then is he'd have to remake Lings, and he'd also get some drone kills. And what if you lose like 1 Hellion or 2 Hellions in the process? Totally fucking worth it, because this is not supposed to win the game. It's not designed to win the game. It's designed to slow the Zerg down.
I hear you.
Okay, so you're moving out now with your Hellions.
I also usually try to be more active, as you suggested. I was just not feeling try hard in this game in particular.
That's fine. It's totally fine. I'm just using. I'm just giving you because I want to make sure that this. I do this to a lot of people where I know I'm not always expecting you to give me your best performance replay. I like it when you don't, because it gives me more stuff to talk about. I just want you to always know what the best performance could be if you wanted to do that. So you actually know you're informed about what it should look like if you're actively trying really hard. So
I know, and now I see how many opportunities I didn't seize.
Yeah, man.
Damn.
I'm not gonna lie. I haven't even talked about everything you could be doing either, because we're talking about a diamond coaching lesson. Like, I don't expect you to play like your fucking Klim. We're talking Diamond League, but there is so much you can do all game, all the time. It's ridiculous how much depth this game has at higher level.
Wow. Yeah.
But another thing you could do if you didn't want to be like, but you should still be assertive with the Hellion aggression. But if you didn't want to be super aggressive on killing drones, another thing you could do is be aggressive on killing queens and be aggressive on stopping creep. And a cool way you can do that is you can always lead the fight with your Reaper. Let the Reaper take damage all the way down to when it's like orange. And then if there's only 1 queen, 100% 6 Hellions and 1 Reaper would kill a queen before a queen kills a Reaper. But if there's like 2 queens, you get like 2 shots off on his queens and then you back up. And if you lead with the Reaper, it's important to do that because the Reaper regenerates the damage it takes. Hellions don't. So you can full heal yourself again, and now the next time you engage, queens are going to be like yellow. And you can re-engage, and you can kill queens a second time, and you stop creep spread. And you can make him fight you with Lings off creep, and you can always you can be like, attack, run away, attack, run away, attack, run away. And you have Lings that are just getting bled out with minimal move speed. Like, they're not running on like they are on creep. So you can actually realistically kite them. Because if he has 20 Lings and you have 6 Hellions and a Reaper, every time you throw a volley into his Lings, there's a good chance you're going to kill like 3, 4, 5 Lings. And it's going to be hard for him. And then you're also killing the front line. So it's going to be hard for him to like surround you if you're just constantly running away and then attacking and then running away and then attacking and running away. And when he's not on creep. And then if you recede creep like this really well, all it does is it makes your follow-up tank timing or marine, whatever you're going to do, it's tank timing. It's gonna make that even stronger because instead of creep being all the way over here, creep is only gonna be like right there, and then you're gonna be setting up tanks right next to his third base, pretty much off creep. So you see, like right there, how you led with the Hellion. That Hellion took 20 damage, and that's never gonna get repaired, right? But that Reaper could have taken 20 damage, and then it would repair itself.
Yeah.
And then the Reaper's like still full health. This is just this is an opportunity you're missing, because if it's full health, it's not going to do anything else with that, and you might as well use his full health bar to whittle it down again to also whittle down the queen health bar. That is like efficiency for this would be maximizing your Reaper regen, trying to not let it die, but when it's full health, you need to be attacking again to make it start taking damage again, so you can start regenerating again. Because when you're taking damage, you're dealing damage. And
so I basically should base the tempo of my attacks on the Reaper health.
If you're going to prioritize queens, yes. And I'm telling you that that's an option. If you're going to prioritize killing drones, your tempo would be time, and you need to go as early as possible, because you're going to dive for drones, and your Hellions are going to die, realistically, but you want to kill as many drones in the process as you can.
So let's say I had been
Kathy, thank you for the raid.
in this game in particular, and I had killed that initial
I'm doing a question that's right now for anyone
and
curious.
I had left my base when I had 4 Hellions and a Reaper, because he opened a third early. An early third, basically. Should I prioritize diving in and killing drones? Like time wise, or
so you, like,
what do you think?
Killing drones time wise makes sense if that's just what you want to do. Let me say it like this: you have two choices based on the opener that this guy's doing. Number one is you can kill drones with the second you have 4 Hellions, you go. And the reason why 4 Hellions is a great number here is because it only takes 3 Hellions to one-shot a drone. And that's important to know that for Terran. So you can drive to an angle where it's like, I will drive right there, or rather, I'll drive like right here, and I'll focus fire that drone right there as he hits that mineral line right there, and I'll kill 3 drones at once. I'll drive right here, and I'll focus fire that drone right there, which is going to kill 3 drones at once. Or whatever. I'll drive right here and focus fire that drone, which is going to kill 3 drones at once. Like, you can arc your shots to line up to shoot multiple drones at once. You don't have to do that, but it's definitely efficient to do that. And if you understand, if you have 3 Hellions, you can one-shot drones, and it's nice when you do it with 4, because obviously you're not going to be making 3 because you're making it off a reactor, so you're making it in sets of 2. But the beautiful thing about 4 Hellions is if you even lose a Hellion to like a queen and like a couple lings, you still have the threat of one-shotting drones when one of your Hellions dies, because you still have 3. So there's a lot of potential damage there that you could be doing when you roast drones like this. And it's the same thing for Zerglings as well, by the way. It takes 3 Hellion shots to kill a Zergling. So if you need to kill Zerglings, the cool thing you can do is drive your Hellions through mineral gaps and then stop as you get to the end. So like if this box is the Hellions, okay? You would drive to the point to where your Hellions would get to right here. To where one Hellion, then now that's your Hellion group. The Hellions are like up in the back of the mineral line near the gas, but the first Hellion is literally blocking the door.
Okay.
So it's not like sitting out in the open like this. It's not way the fuck over here like this. The first Hellion literally stops like right there, because Zerglings will get stuck between the patches now, and you get crazy stack up of lings that you can shoot into and kill like 10 Zerglings at once. It's fucking crazy. You can do the same thing right there, where if your Hellions are like, let's say your Hellions are all right here in the mineral line, what if you rotated it to like right here? And you drive between the gas and the minerals, and you stop right there to where 1 Hellion, 2 Hellion, 3 Hellion, 4th Hellion. And now 1 ling at a time it attacks you, and all of them group up in this little chunk right here trying to attack you. And you just get 1 shot off, and it's like 8 lings died. And let's say he tries to go down and around to like come down and around to surround you, and you go up, you go to the right, and then you tuck yourself in this mineral patch in this gas. And you do it again. It's fucking, like, if you like figure 8 and zigzag through the mineral line in the gas, you can roast so many lings doing this to Zerg. If they have a lot of lings. And if they don't have a lot of lings, you're obviously just killing drones then. And you're just trying to line up shots on drones. It's much better than just driving behind the mineral line and having like all your Hellions in the wall and having like 12 lings or like 16 lings surround you. Because then what you're doing when you shoot is you're having like 1 Hellion shoot 1 ling in like that direction. And 1 Hellion shoots 1 ling in that direction. And 1 Hellion shoots 2 lings in this direction. And 1 Hellion shoots 2 lings in like this direction right here. And it's like you're concaving your damage out, and you're not stacking damage at all on your Hellions, because there is no damage to stack because the lings are super spread out because you're getting maximum surface area, which is bad for you. So you have to understand like how you want to use your units, right? And again, like I said before, because this guy was a defensive macro player with mineral focus, your choices are I could kill drones really fast with a time priority, or I could play conservative and maximize my Reaper regen and poke queens and kill them and deny creep spread. Literally keep pushing his creep backwards as much as possible. And a cool trick you can do as well is if you see a creep tumor go down, but it's not quite dead, you can kill your Reaper when your Reaper is standing on it. Like, not kill him, but you can shoot him and make the Reaper stand on top of the creep tumor and kill the tumor with the Reaper on it. Or you can scan it. You could also scan it. That's also fine. Whatever. Another thing you do is you can throw grenades behind the queens. You can launch them at your Hellions and Reaper, so it's harder for the queens to retreat when they want to retreat. There's a lot of shit you can do here to maximize what you're doing. But if you want to kill queens, you fight lings as they chase you off creep, and you don't dive into creep then. You run away from creep and make him lose even more lings off of creep in an inefficient way because they can't surround you very well then. It's really hard. And then you just recede creep repeatedly. So it makes your future timings more effective because there's less creep. Those are your two choices for what is you're up against. And to give you an example of a choice that would be another choice that would make sense now would be if this guy was gas heavy, one of the two choices I just explained would still exist. The creep denial one is still very viable, but drone diving is no longer viable where you like dive into third base and go for drones like that because that can't happen now because there's no third. It doesn't exist. So a rotation you could add in would be, like I said earlier in this lesson, instead of making a Viking, you could make a drop ship and you could fly over here, load up, drop in the main, and then do the exact same thing where you target fire drones in the main. And if there's lings, tuck yourself between resource patches and gases or whatever and kill lings like crazy. So you have to just know, basically, you have to know based on the style your opponent is going for and knowing how to understand how to abuse that, how you should do your situational micro. It's not just attack Zerg and then figure it out as I'm there.
I hear you. Oh, wow.
That's if you want to have the most efficient attacks you're ever going to have.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of room for improvement here.
No, for sure. This is why I'm saying this game is like there is
and this
a
is just
lot
diamond, man.
Yeah, for sure. And then, well, this is also just the first 5 minutes of the game. Like, there's a lot more. That game gets way more elaborate as you get later and later and later too. When you talk about like GM level and shit.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Like there's a lot of ways you can set up.
I love
attacks.
learning.
Yeah, no, for sure, it's good. But like, I just want you to know that if you don't do any of the things I'm talking about, and you could do shit like this where you just kind of sit there and you just wait and you wait and you wait, all it does is it makes everything else that you can then do later as like the next priority of what you should be doing. It makes it harder because if you like I'll give you an analogy, okay? Here's an analogy. You want to have perfect balance throughout every stage of the game. And here's the analogy I'll give you is imagine if you had like a relay race where you have like 5 guys who are all running a relay race, and then each one of them has to run 20% of the race. But now let's say you don't do anything with the first guy, and he only runs 4% of the race. And now the second guy, instead of running 20% like he's supposed to, he has to run 36% of the race. And he's going to be fucking exhausted. And he's not going to be performing as well as he should be anymore because it's too much pressure on that stage of the race. And that's what you're doing to yourself if you fall behind in one aspect of the game and then make your next aspect that's going to take like the transition of what you're going to next. It puts more pressure on that to do more because you didn't do enough with your first part. So this is like there's like a tempo that needs to be respected all game if you want to have an effective playstyle throughout the entire time. Because yeah, this Zerg is definitely getting way too much creep and he's getting way too much economy that you're not punishing right now. It's going to make your future harder, for sure. It's like right there. That was, I would say you're getting now around like 6.5 minutes. It's okay that your Hellions died because at this point that's a lot of lings to compared to like 3 Hellions versus like 30 lings that you're going to die. Most likely, unless you somehow get like again tucked into a mineral patch and this guy just doesn't counter micro that, but you're most likely going to die. So the fact that you target fired the creep tumors there, I'm okay with it. That's okay. But ideally you would have wanted to have killed more than like 2 creep tumors with 6 Hellions, and you didn't kill any really. Your Reaper and 6 Hellions throughout the entire game legit killed like 2 creep tumors. because you didn't ever attack before that. Like you never attacked with your Reaper early on to do that, and then you never really attacked with your Hellions that much. You like poked a queen, but you didn't. Then you backed off because Lings came, and you killed some Lings when you were pushed up against the rocks right there earlier, but then nothing else really came of that. Like creep control wise, you kind of failed, and drone control wise, I would give you like a D. Not an F, but like a D. And the only reason why I would give you a D is because you didn't kill any drones, which is an indirect thing that you could say is bad. But you did kill a few Lings. So if you killed a few Lings, you make him have to remake Lings earlier than he would like, and that denies drones. So you could have definitely killed more with what you had there if you would have just been more assertive before it got to this point. But now that it's at this point, there's not much you can do. You missed your window of opportunity. It's just kind of gone now.
Yeah.
So now it goes to the next stage of the game.
And I didn't even have like I only had like 3 Hellions and 1 Weaver by then. So.
No, for sure. And now, I just want you to know that, like this game, if you had a good Hellion setup and a good Reaper setup, with your everything going on with how this game developed and how you identified what he was going for, this game could have been like if you play a game, this could have now been, oh, this is a TvZ. What difficulty do you want to choose? I'll choose easy. Okay, cool. I'm going to play an easy game now because I have so much control of the game because of my opener. But now, with no control of your opener, really, you went for an opener that was not greedy. It was an opener that is supposed to provide you control, and you received none of it, really. You got barely any control out of it. Now you're going to play a game where it's like, do you want to play a difficulty of like easy, medium, hard, extra hard, or like fucking nightmare, like hardest difficulty ever? It'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to play extra hard now. It's not quite nightmare because at least you still macroed behind it. And you killed a little bit of Lings, like a couple Lings, but you didn't really capitalize enough at all. You missed a lot of opportunity there. So this game is not even. The Zerg is definitely, in my opinion, ahead with positioning in this game right now. So you're definitely playing a game that is harder than it has to be going forward now, which is going to make you feel like, holy fuck, Zerg is so hard to beat.
Yeah, and gosh, this game was hard to beat.
Yeah, no, for sure.
For real.
You gave yourself a kind of a weak opener, which is why it feels that way.
Is that Zerg's 5th early, or that's like kind of okay?
I mean,
right now?
He's going for a mineral heavy build, so this is fine because if this guy also is like having larva problems with like his own macro problems where he has sometimes struggles to like inject properly, like this is literally just for macro. He's not going to saturate like 100 drones right now. He's with like 5 bases saturated on 20 drones per base, but he is probably going to go up to like 70 or 80, I would imagine, and then he's going to have a lot of larva that he can use to like utilize a bunch of fucking larva, and you're not punishing the creep or the bases, or like you're not punishing him enough at all, the economy. So he's going, like he has the means to run away with this game if his macro is able to do that. And like now this right here, I would say this, the only time you should ever be in front of this guy's base is to kill creep. You should not really be trying to kill Lings because you're way beyond that at this point. It's creep only. Like, kill Lings if they come while you're killing creep, but do not ignore creep and try to kill Lings. That's not priority right now. Priority is not Lings right now. Priority is 100% creep right now, because if you get rid of a lot of creep right now and you have a lot of good areas to set up tanks with no creep there, that will be so much more value at killing Lings than wasting a bunch of time and letting creep get all the way up to here while you kill like 20 Lings over 3 minutes with your medevac and always have to load up immediately, and you kill like 1 or 2 Lings each time before you bane Lings hit your face. And then like now that Hydras exist too, right? You gotta be super careful now, even on top of everything else. So you killed the creep tumor. Well, you ran away. That so that's expensive what you just did right there. That would only make sense to do that if you're like right now moving across the map to set up tanks right there, and like you're getting ready to push right now. Because you're gonna like capitalize when this creep proceeds, you're gonna push into it now. Because you just spent a mule worth of energy to kill a creep tumor that could be easily replaced if you don't capitalize. So when you scan creep, do not do it when the Zerg is there. If you're going to kill creep, it would need to be like a scan like here when you're going to kill like 10 tumors.
Oh, man.
So one way you can set that up to make it more consistent would be have 2 medevacs and go, hey, Zerg, I'm going to push you on both sides. And Zerg responds to one of those sides and you scan the other. instead of just randomly in Fog of War scanning forward and going, oh, Zerg's there. Okay, run away now. Because you're just not, you're wasting money. You're literally falling behind again by doing that. That is not worth it for you. If I'm a Zerg player playing against that and I go, this guy just scanned me and killed one creep tumor and ran away, and I'm not being attacked either. Like, I'm just going to replant it now. I'd be like, I'm getting ahead right now. That feels good.
You'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, literally. 100%.
That's funny. No, you're totally true.
No,
like, what can I say?
Sure. Now, this is good for you. This is actually a Zerg making a literal nonsensical attack right now. This makes no sense why he pushes you right here. He's running through a choke point, which makes his army go single file into you. And on top of that, he's pushing off creep. And on top of that, he's pushing into you, who is massively set up defensively already. Now, you should be a little bit more defensively set up than you are, in my opinion. And one way you should be doing that would be tank should be right there. A tank should be like right there as well. A tank should be right there. And then other tanks should be like right here and like right here. You should not have all of your tanks in front of your base stacked up like this. This is lazy defense. Because this could happen. So this actually might fuck you up right now, even though it shouldn't. And the only reason why it might fuck you up is because your tanks are all exposed. There's no reason for your tanks to be exposed if you're playing defensive. Zerg should 100% get punished for this if your tanks were on better locations. Because then what you could do with your bio is you could take your bio and run away from him and kite him and go attack back up, attack back up, attack back up. You kite towards a denser tank line. Like, you could either kite into your natural towards this tank and whatever, or you could kite down towards your third and kite through this tank and this tank. And you could have your lings still killing shit. They're not just only running away. You're like attacking, backing up, attacking, backing up. And if you're really good at micro, you could have your tanks hotkeyed and you could be target firing banelings so that your Marines don't have to back up anymore. They can stand there and just face tank the Zerglings because they'll kill them all easily, easy peasy. And your tanks are the ones just popping banelings before they connect to Marines. That's obviously advanced. I do not expect you to do that in Diamond League. That's even hard for Masters players to do that. That's fucking advanced micro. That's like 5.4K, 5.5K MMR. Terrans, like, what top 100 GM Terrans do that? But it is something you could do, literally. But even if you don't focus fire tanks, every Terran can position tanks because all you got to do is, I am not being attacked right now. Go there, siege. Go there, siege. And then literally just let it sit there. Because there's no reason to not do that. You're not, like, it's like a lack of macro setup if you just let all your tanks like go to a rally point and you never once have the foresight in like 3 minutes to go, hey, tanks, go to a location. So definitely got to set your tanks up. Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
No, unprepared, yeah.
Oh, for sure. It is unprepared. This might actually do a lot of damage to you right now. It should not, but it might because your tanks are so stacked.
Well, let's see how it rolls.
And it's still going. And automatically, even if you don't die right now, this did a lot of damage to you. And the reason why is because this guy reset your tank count to 0, which makes you have 0 pressure now. You cannot attack him anymore. So you have no way to punish layer anymore, which means that this guy has a free golden ticket now to go to Hive Tech. And Hive Tech can punish tanks. Like,
ultras?
Yeah, exactly. Like anything. The Broodlords can punish tanks. Vipers can punish tanks. Ultras can punish tanks. 3/3 Adrenal can punish tanks. There's a lot of things for Zerg that fucking wreck tanks. If, like, he has Hive Tech. But if he's Layer Tech, a lot of things get wrecked by tanks if you have tanks. So you have now kind of completely missed the window of opportunity for your tanks to make sense. Because they're dead now. And if you start just remaking them again, that's not bad necessarily. But you have your attack window is no longer going to be 9 minutes as a counterattack. It's now going to be like 12 minutes as an initial attack when Zerg could have Hive Tech additions to what he has, which is fucking scary for you. Because if Zerg has Hive Tech, ideally what you want to have by then is you want to have like access to things like a really good economy, so you can replace if things that die as they die really fast, which you're not going to have because you're still on 3 bases, and now it's really hard for you to take a 4th because you've lost control here. Another thing that you would want to have is I would not recommend this in Diamond League. Just literally stick to Marine Tech Medevac in Diamond League. But once you get to like Masters and above, you should then be having things like, I have Ghost now as well while he has Hive Tech. I have Liberators now as well while he has Hive Tech. You need more advanced things once you become a higher level player. But do not do that right now in Diamond League because no one is going to play Zerg how they should in Diamond League either. So that's super advanced. Do not do that yourself right now. It's just going to make it overcomplicated. Just fucking literally what you really need is you need control. You need to make Zerg have less and you have more. Because Marine Tank Medevac can still beat Hive Tech for Zerg if you have 5 base Terran versus like 5 base Zerg. But if you have 3 base Terran versus like 6 base Zerg, you're probably going to get fucked. And that's kind of what's happening right now with how that just happened for you. And it's as simple as if you would have had a tank there, a tank there, a tank there, like a tank in the middle, a tank in the like towards the middle line at your 3rd base. You want to know how many tanks you would have probably lost in that fight? Probably 1. Because all the tanks behind your walls and on the cliffs would not have died.
Yeah.
And the tank in the middle would have died because you would have had to have kite back to like, as the Zerg engages you, you kite back and like stutter step your stim pack backwards. But then all the lings bleed out really hard. But the thing about it is the lings stack up and chase the bio, and the bio gets healed by the medevacs, and the lings die as they're stacking up trying to chase the bio. So you're running away from him, making distance as he's dying to tanks. And then his lings bleed out a lot faster because of that. Whereas instead, all your tanks got surrounded by Zerglings, and then Hydras were also, and then the tanks were surrounded by Zerglings, so they're no longer shooting Zerglings, and now they're shooting Hydras instead, because the tanks are, or if the tanks are shooting Lings, they're shooting each other with Lings on them, which is doing friendly fire damage, right? So your tanks just disappear, and then when the tanks are dead, that's no longer a tank that's firing anymore. So now the next wave of Lings comes in, and there's no tanks firing at it anymore. And then you take the last 1 or 2 tanks that you did have, get surrounded immediately and just die. And you're like, well, fuck, my tanks are gone now. So even though you survive this, and you push it back, if my game doesn't somehow crash right now, holy shit. It literally is crashing, and my game is crashing. Okay, I'll reload my game, it's okay, I don't know. That was weird.
While you do that, can I ask you something real quick?
Yeah, go
How
for
do you
it.
feel about going tanks versus going Widow Mines?
Either one works. I think tanks are easier.
Either.
I think tanks are easier because it puts less pressure on biomicro. The Widow Mines work if you run back across your Widow Mine field and Zerg chases you and loses everything. But if Zerg has Hydra and Overseer, which that guy did, he can outrange your Widow Mines. And then suddenly your Widow Mines die to Hydras, and then you have a new problem again of I have to now microbio against Lingbane Hydra. So if you have tanks, tanks outrange everything, and now no matter what, you can always pull back the tanks, and then he'll have to engage into you while you have tank line. So I think tanks are easier to use. Biomine's easier to use if the Zerg is bad, though. But I think tanks overall are going to be more consistent for you to use in an easy way. What were you going to say?
What I usually do is that if Zerg goes either Roaches or Hydras, I go tanks, and if it's like more like pure lane Bane Muta, I go Widow Mines. Is that okay? Is that...
I mean, they both can work, yeah. They're both fine.
Both fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you're Diamond 1, your biomicro should be at least be somewhat decent. Like, you have to have, like, it's not like you're just A-moving and just leaving it there, just standing in banelings and dying. You have to have some sense of micro. So either way works for you at this point. You're at a level that is high enough to, I would say, you can handle either one. And they both, the way you said that you do either one, that's fine. Just know the only time you cannot go, you can go Widow Mines pretty much versus everything except Lurkers. If the guy has Lurkers, you have to go tanks. Otherwise, and also, you can go tanks against everything as well. So you can make either style work. You just cannot go Widow Mines against Lurkers. You will absolutely die if you do that. That is like asking to lose.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The only way Widow Mines work against Lurker style is if you only use it to drop mineral lines instead of trying to fight armies with it.
I've definitely tried that for sure.
Yeah.
with moderate success.
Yeah.
What usually the reason? Okay, so for the longest time, I was a big Widowmine user for a long time,
Uh-huh.
and then I don't know, kind of like the meta shifted, and people started using tanks again, and I was on and off of the game. So when I came back, I started using tanks full time, and but I was struggling with Lingbane Muta, and I'm like, what the hell's going on, man? So I started like making that difference, and ever since, like I feel like I've been doing better because usually what happens with me, as you can see, probably tank positioning is not my biggest strength by now. So I would get like outmaneuvered or surrounded, and I'll be like, oh holy shit! Then as the links and banes were running towards me, my tanks were getting in siege position at that moment, so I was wasting time. And I'm like, there you go, I lost. I got
Yeah.
like surrounded, owned, and couldn't do anything.
Yeah. I mean,
Usually, widow mines have a quicker response when
yeah.
you
If
burrow,
a Zerg
and
doesn't micro, they can get definitely AoE'd like crazy. Like 5
exactly,
Mines can
yeah.
just blow up a whole Bling ball. Um,
Oh hell yeah.
but that's only gonna take you so far because most of the Zerg players you're gonna run into eventually, like maybe it takes you to like 4.1k MMR or something. But then you're gonna play Zerg players that are not just gonna every time face roll the keyboard and run over a bunch of Widow Mines with everything clumped up. Like it's gonna stop happening eventually. And when that does, you don't want to be in a situation where now you're at a new brick wall where you're like, well, now I don't know how to answer that because my whole play style was based on you not knowing how to micro. So, all you got to know about, like, again, Widow Mines can work. Just make sure, but the concept applies to Widow Mines and tanks. It's just tanks are easier in the sense that they have larger range. Widow Mines are easier in the sense that if the Zerg is bad at micro, they get AoE'd harder. But
Yeah.
all you got to do is know that when you set up tanks, like Widow Mines is as simple as this: scatter them in front of you. Go Widow Mine, Widow Mine, Widow Mine, Widow Mine, Widow Mine, Widow Mine. Like make it like a checkerboard. Think of like a checkerboard in your mind and go, I'm gonna make a checkerboard of Widow Mines. Hell yeah! I'm gonna spread them out like one here, like alternate gaps in them. And then with tanks, you can do the exact same thing with tanks, except make the checkerboard, like make it larger. Like so, think about like. Imagine a checkerboard in front of you that's like a normal checkerboard, like a normal size checkerboard, and you can like move your finger 1 inch or like a few centimeters, and then it's like, I'm at the next piece of checkerboard. Now imagine if the checkerboard was blown up in like a higher resolution, or like it was just like size wise, it was made like 5 times larger. So now a checkerboard is like, if you make like your pinky and your thumb go max distance from each other, that's like the size of each block of checkerboard. Like you get what I mean? Like it's the same design, it's just larger gaps in the pieces. So tanks have larger range attacks, so gap them larger. So if you can you see my mouse on screen right now? Are you watching it again?
I just see your
Like green box?
Your icon. I see nothing. Yeah.
Okay. So Widow Mine would be like, put a Widow Mine there, put a Widow Mine there, put a Widow Mine there, put a Widow Mine there. So if you remember, it's like there. It's like kind of like in this box right here would be like 4 Widow Mines scattered.
Hold on. You're not sharing screen with me.
I am.
So
I should be. Refresh it probably in Discord. It should be.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, now I see.
Okay, so I'll do it again. So if you have like a Widow Mine, can you see this now?
Go.
Okay, so Widow Mine here, Widow Mine here, Widow Mine here, and like a Widow Mine here, which means you have 4 Widow Mines in like a box that's that big. From like top, like just scattered around it. Now tanks would be like a tank right there, a tank right there, a tank right there, and a tank like right here. So your tanks would be in a box that's like that big. That's all it is. You just scatter your tanks larger.
Sense.
You just make it a bigger radius because tanks have a little bit more than double the attack range of a Widow Mine. So if you gap them larger, it makes it to where tanks are scattered enough to where you get. This is the concept, okay? This is the concept. I want you to actually look at my stream really fast for this one because I'll do it on Paint, and this is why people scatter tanks. This is why that logically makes sense. What happens in StarCraft is if you have a tank scatter like this, okay, and let's say the army of your opponent is coming from this direction. It's coming from this way. What happens is is units in StarCraft 2, or units in StarCraft in general, clump up as they fight shit. So if I'm running at 100% move speed going towards the first tank, as soon as I engage the first tank, I am no longer going to be moving at 100% move speed in this direction anymore. I'm going to be circling the tank. And I'm going to have a hiccup in my move speed for a while because I'm currently killing an object. And then as soon as the tank dies, maybe 2 seconds later or 3 seconds later, which is the entire basically cooldown of an auto attack for other tanks, I get a free bonus auto attack off of other tanks that are within range of killing they're within range of killing shit off of the first tank, but not directly next to it. So now units have to move once again, starting over, like pretty much almost the full range of a tank here again to get to the next tank, get on top of it, and more tanks again are shooting that location. And these lings or like whatever Zerg units it is, or any units, they're not moving at 100 speed to getting at all the tanks immediately all at once. They're grouping up on another tank, and it's buying you more auto attack time. And now suddenly, like the tank in the back here on this side is also auto attacking. Like it just units move forward, clump up, move forward, clump up, move forward, clump up as they kill shit. And when every time they clump up, fucking a massive AoE, massive AoE, massive AoE from all your other tanks that are not there as well. But if all your tanks are like this, if you're like, all right, tank, 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 and then Zerg engages you, and you're like, all right, here comes the fucking Zerg right here. He gets on you one time, and then there is no longer massive AoE because there's two reasons why there's no longer massive AoE. Number one, you're giving him lots of surface area with lots of units clumped up, which means he's fully surrounding you and his army is not stacking really hard. It's spreading really hard because it's getting lots of surface area. If you only have one tank that aggroes like 100 lings, one tank is not the size of 100 lings to auto attack it. It's the size of about 8 of them, or like 7 lings could surround a tank, and the other like 93 are gonna clump up in circles around the other 7 and just stack really hard and be like, let me in there, I'm gonna clump in there too, and they get AoE'd really hard. But if you have like 10 fucking tanks, like 100 lings can actually get surface area on like 10 tanks, where like 60 lings are gonna get actual uptime on like 10 tanks. And then fucking, and like in a big ball of them, and then the other like 40 lings are gonna only be like somewhat clumping around the lings in the front line. They're gonna be like every once in a while there'll be like 2 lings behind the first ling, or like maybe 3 every once in a while, but it's not gonna be like 13 lings are behind one ling trying to like stack into it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely. You just like stretch out the blob essentially, and it makes the AoE less effective, which is why you scatter your units like this. The second reason why you do it, again, is because it buys you time to do more auto attacks. Instead of all your shit dying at once, where you have like your one initial volley, and then he surrounds you, and then you have one more volley, and then you're dead. You get like so many more attacks when he like moves, surrounds, stops, moves, surrounds, stops, moves, surrounds, stops, moves, surrounds, stops. Instead of getting maybe like 24 auto attacks from 10 tanks that are clumped up in one little ball, you get like 45 auto attacks from 10 tanks that are scattered, because even though not all 10 tanks are shooting right away, all 10 tanks shoot like 4 times instead of once or twice, or maybe 3.
And with better effectivity.
Yeah, exactly. You overall get more shots off throughout your tanks. And then not only that, you can sometimes get even more shots off if the terrain is an advantage for you, where, for instance, what if you had a tank right fucking there? This is such an annoying position to put a tank in, because this tank can shoot all the way up here, and if Zerglings want to go kill that, they can't just go, I'm going to attack you. They got to go, all right, I'm going to attack you all the way fucking around, and I'm going to bottleneck into a mineral pocket.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that's trouble.
Like, it's... You can advance your tank positioning with annoying locations, but it's really just scattering them in a large formation. That's all it is. And then you have your bio in the front of the formation. In the bio, stutter step kites and shoots shit, backs up, shoots shit, backs up, and you kite backwards from the start of your tank line to the back of your tank line. Mm-hmm. And you eventually will bleed Zerg to death throughout the process. Now, talking quickly about what you're doing right here, this is not what you want to be doing. This is right after you just lost that fight, and you're pushing creep now. You have no control. This Zerg could 100% run your ass over. So if killing creep is good, but pushing with everything is bad, because you have no control with enough units here. You have no tank control, and you're doing a tank-based style. So what you should be doing is what I said earlier with like 2 drops. 1 drop over here, 1 drop over here. Wherever the Zerg is not, kill that creep. Wherever the Zerg is, run away.
So I should not do anything like this when... Okay.
This is a bad attack. You are literally asking to die right now. Because you just you just took a fight where all your tanks died, and now you're deciding, with my brand new first 2 tanks, let's go push his base. Deep on creep. That is asking to die.
That's Daredevil right there.
Hey, you're fucking Daredevil, exactly. This is if Daredevil was like drunk and he just like he thinks he can see everything and he like jumps off a building and falls off and hits the ground.
Yeah.
Like you see what look how effective that was. You loaded up the survivors and sacrificed everything else on the ground that just died. That was not a good attack. And there's no reason why that didn't look like that. It's not like that's a surprise that the fight looked that way. You took a really bad fight just before that, so it's guaranteed going to look that way. And you just lost your tanks again. So this is, again, not the time to push anymore if your style is still going to be tank-based. If you're going to push with tanks, you need to have, like, 8 minimum. Like, or it really depends on how... This is where, like, judgment calls come in. If you're owning the Zerg early, if you're doing a great job with your developing parts of the game, where the game's not extra hard, but instead it's easy because your Reaper Hellion did a great job, you could push with, like, 3 or 4 and do a great job with it. But if you have no control of the game, and you fully expect Zerg to have just as much power, if not maybe even more than you do, because Zerg scales a little bit faster than Terran does if Terran does no damage, 8 tanks minimum for, like, real fights. Only ever push before 8 tanks if you have control, and you know you have control because you've been doing a great job up to that point before that. You just don't have enough damage in your army if you push with like 2 tanks or something. And the Zerg has like 60 Banes, 70 Lings, and like 15 Hydras. You're just gonna absolutely fucking die. And then you can still kill creep, but yeah, use it with just medevacs and marines, not with tanks. Let your tanks defend your base like we talked about earlier. And then once you're ready to push, then you can push. So like that right there, other than losing medevacs to the Hydras, that was good. Because you pushed with things that could all be evacuated. The concept was fine. You didn't push with tanks that you sieged and then abandoned. And right now, like, you're dropping the Zerg's base is fine. The drops are always fine because you have evacuation plans there. That's not a big deal. So I'm totally down with you dropping the space over here and shit like that. But yeah, if you're still going to keep going tank style, you need to get rid of creep before you really move out with your tanks. Or if you do move out with your tanks, as soon as you get on creep, you need to start leapfrogging your tanks with the tank line, with the checkerboard of tanks towards the Zerg's base. And then continue to kill the creep and then guard the creep as you move forward on it. Like, don't ever walk with 8 tanks and then go, all right, I'm right here and Zerg is engaging me. Let's siege all 8 tanks at once. That's how you're going to die as well. You have to, like, if you're going to push, let's say you had 8 tanks right now and you wanted to push. First tank siege is right there. Second tank siege is right there. Third tank right there. Fourth tank right here in the sentry tower's bushes or some shit. Fifth tank right there. Next tank right there. Next tank right here. Next tank right here. And then when the creep has been receded now all the way to the point to where it's right there, unsiege the back 3 tanks and put them now like right here, right there, and like right here, while your bio continues to push forward with it. And then your other tanks that are in the middle that are still, like, the creep is now receding. These tanks are still where you put them before. But then now let's say this base dies and now you're pushing creep back this way. You would unsiege the back like 4 tanks again and go unsiege these tanks and put a new tank like right there. Put a new tank right there. Put a new tank right there. Put a new tank like right here. And then push this side. Does that make sense? Like, you don't want to ever go all tanks, unsiege, group up, move in. Ah, shit, he's engaging. All tank siege while we're clumped. That is how you're going to die.
So no yellow. No yellow walking on creep?
No.
More like thorough leapfrogging?
Yeah.
And, okay.
The only way you YOLO on creep is if your name is Clem and you are a fucking god of this game.
I'm aiming high, man.
Yeah, right? Like, I'll just have 500 effective APM in a matter of like 1 second to go split, focus fire. Like if you can do that,
Yeah.
then you're like, do whatever you want, dude. You can do whatever, anything you want.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely be more careful.
Yeah.
About that.
Better setups for you will make the game like 10 times easier. It'll make it so much easier. Like right here, the way you're scanning and killing creep unsieged and you're just driving on creep. This is so fucking sketchy.
Okay. So you see, that's why I'm glad, I'm doing this type of coaching.
Oh,
because,
for sure.
like, you learn so much. It's like, dude, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Patience, like now, right? Let's see, like right here again. You let the creep proceed, and you have no vision of this area, and you're wanting to push again, and you're getting aggressive in Zerg territory, and Zerg is most likely going to want to replace this, so he's going to be in the area. It's logical, but you have no setup. You have no tank. Like imagine if you had a tank here, a tank here, a tank here, a tank there, and like a tank here. And you had all this bio where it is right now, and you stim packed, and it's not just like, because like imagine like we'll say what it could be versus what we're about to see. 2 tanks shoot these are ultras right now, right off the bat. He runs forward. You shoot again as he gets to like right here, and now as he gets right here, not only is he getting shot by these tanks now 4 times. If you have like 2 tanks up here, like one there and one there, but now he's in range of like this tank, and like a tank right there or whatever. Like all the tanks on this side, the other like 3 tanks you have or 4 tanks you have, they all start shooting too because they're further back in the back tank line as you pull him back. So as he gets to the front tanks, now he's getting shot by like 4 more in the middle, and then if he gets to that 4 in the middle, he's getting shot by like 3 or 4 more in the end, or 2 more in the end, or whatever. But he gets shot like 7 times or something by your tanks before he even makes contact to your first tank. And 7 tank shots is equivalent to 490 damage on 1 ultra. And let's say it splashed 2 of the ultras, which is like pretty much their entire health bar. And 2 of the ultras just fucking die. Like, even though Splash doesn't do full damage either, one of these ultras is orange anyways. Like, you could basically, and you're also killing lings in the process. You're killing some of the hydras if they're clumped up too. Like, you're just doing so much fucking damage as the Zerg tries to engage you, not as he's on you. And then your bio doesn't die, and you kite back to the next line of tanks, and the next line of tanks, and you're just fucking pounding him as he does this. That's what ideally would happen, and you would break this, and then when you break this, then once you kill an army, then you can go, all right, let's not waste time and go siege, 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 siege. If I know I just broke a big-ass army, how about we go all tanks unsiege, stim pack forward, boost my medevacs forward, get to the base, and then as soon as I get to the base, then go siege, 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 because I'm close enough, and I know for a fact the build time of his Remax is longer than the move time for me to go from here to here. Does that make sense? Like, you could maximize the next 10 seconds to kill a base because it takes 30 seconds to remake this army. But then once you kill this base... sorry, go ahead. If you say something real quick.
No, yeah, just running and going, denying that base before it's too late.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Something
Like,
that.
you're just maximizing the opportunity you have. And then you can go, okay, cool, I killed this base. Now I repeat the same exact process I did before, where I set up my tanks in a nice formation because I'm about to push the next base, and his army's right fucking there. And I don't want to just walk onto his creep for the rest of the game, because if I do that, I'm going to walk super deep on creep, and his Remax might kill me. Because the opportunity of window of killing bases is now gone, because it was literally like 12, 15 seconds of time of opportunity there, where I really felt confident that I could not be run over. But if a Zerg is good at macro, they can lose an army and then Remax it in 1 macro cycle. So you have to respect that. And you can't just dive their whole base after you kill 1 army. You can only dive a base for like 15 seconds max and then stop. And then go back to playing conservative again. Until the next army dies and then do it again. But here's what it looks like with the way you set it up. You didn't siege a single tank. You didn't even kill a single ultra. You weakened some of the ultras. You lost like half your army there. And like 2 of your tanks died or some shit, and you lost probably like a third of your bio, or like a couple of your tanks died, and like some of your bio died. None of your medevacs died, so you didn't really lose half your army. You lost like half of the ground units, is what I mean. Like some of the tanks died, and some of the bio died. So you definitely lost a good chunk of ground units there. That was not great. That was definitely a shit trade for you. And now you boost it up, and you're diving towards a deep, and then you also have no control of the creep now. And now you're diving deeper into creep, and you're going to his main base. And this is fucking YOLO. This is like probably not gonna work.
Yes.
All I can say again.
Yeah.
Thank God
this
he
is-
A moves
and the
Hydras
diamond.
and he blocks the fucking ramp.
Diamond, yeah.
He's like, I'll shoot a Marine, and all my ultras will go. "Urgh." And even then, you still lost the fight, right? Imagine if this guy just actually moved around it properly to you and then killed you. Oh yeah, this is just you panicking. That's all I see right here. And you don't have to if you understand what you're doing, which is what we've been describing the whole time. So if you do that instead, way more control for you. All right. The game is pretty much coming to an end. The game is kind of like you're gonna die now probably because you're starting to lose control. Like you might win if this guy plays like shit, but the problem you're having now is that you've lost control throughout the entire game, and now it's just an economy problem. You're running out. You're running out. You're running out. You need to secure more bases, and if you can't successfully do that because you've lost control of the game, you're just gonna run out of money and die.
Yeah, I actually get to win this game.
Okay.
You know, as you say, welcome to the diamond.
No, for sure. It's fine. Like win or lose, it's fine. Doesn't matter. The concept though, definitely. You 100% could get punished for the way this game has gone right now. And the fact that you are using Liberators right there, so I kind of skipped it, but whatever. I saw what you did. The fact that you are using Liberators versus Zerg is going Ultras is fine. I just want you to know that it's more complicated. It's really good, and you have to do it later on when both players are really good at the game. But right now, you 100% could win the game just with tanks, even though the Zerg has Ultras, if you do everything I told you about with tanks earlier, because you will have so much control. You'll have so much more control throughout the game, and it won't be a situation where you feel like, fuck, I have to all in right now because he's got more bases than me. I'm out of money. I gotta go. I'll use Liberators. We'll just try to make a miracle attack happen, and I'll micro it to a win. It doesn't have to get to that point. If you have like 7 bases and the Zerg has like 5 bases, or just less than you, because you've had a very solid tank mid game that has led you to a point where the Zerg's creep sucks and the Zerg's economy sucks because you've done a great job at controlling the map, because you didn't just YOLO your tanks repeatedly and lose like 20 tanks because they clump them up and they're always like never in the right spot.
Like I did.
Exactly, yeah. So like it would
yes,
be.
I see that.
And the point I'm trying to make is the way I'm telling you to do it is smooth and consistent. It's easier. The way you're doing it is hectic as fuck, and you need like a Hail Mary miracle at the end of the game to win the game. You need like everything to line up for your Liberator attack to work. Because if you take a bad fight where you walk in and you're like, oh fuck, well Hydras are here right now. I just sieged my shit. He's popping my libs. Now he's engaged. He's flanking me too. Okay, this was just a bad fight. I chose a bad location and I lose now. Like it can go bad so fast. You need it to be like perfect, and it doesn't have to get to that point. Because if it is at that point, it means you've made mistakes to get to the point to where you feel like you're in such pressure to win the game at that point. It should feel smooth at that point if you're playing properly.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely need to take a different approach. Let me tell you, I thought I was gonna lose this game for the longest time, and just winning it felt great. But like now I see all of the mistakes I made, and I'm like, holy crap! Like this was really close from losing. And you didn't win because of anything. You just won because you were lucky, basically.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times that's why I say a lot of times winning and losing doesn't matter, because you did win this game because Zerg also didn't play very well.
Okay.
So it doesn't actually. Like I don't want to take the wind out of your sails and be like, everyone sucks or something like that.
Yeah.
But like, I would say don't look at this game and think that your choices of strategy were why you won. And it was like, oh well, I'm definitely doing that forever. I'm always gonna drive tanks on creep on siege. Let's do that. It works, because it doesn't.
And then YOLO to the main. Yeah.
It's just the Zerg also had his own set of problems. That your set of problems was just less than his, and you actually managed to win as a result of that.
Okay. Awesome, man. Really happy I had this TvZ coaching. Really do.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good lesson. There's a lot of good, valuable information in it, and I feel like it's something you can apply and continue to improve. And I hope next time we talk, You're like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, I'm fucking Masters 3. My TvZ is dominating now. That'd be sick.
Well, with the trend that I'm taking, you know, like last time I was Diamond 2 and now I'm Diamond 1.
Yep.
Who knows?
Well, dude,
Very well be possible.
I feel like that with the tank thing is really not that hard to do. Once you start getting comfortable doing it, it's fucking easy.
Mhm.
It's just literally going tank go there, siege, tank go there, siege. It's so easy once you actively think like that's what I need to do, and you just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I feel like it's gonna be very attainable for you to have success going forward. It's not like a chance here. I think it's a guarantee, at least for your TvZ.
Yeah.
So I wish you the best
Thank
of
you
luck,
so
man.
much. Thank you. Really appreciate your time. I really do.
Yeah, and dude, thank you for doing another lesson. And good luck. Go get
Thank
him.
you.
Go get him, dude.
On my way, man. I'll see you next month. So thank you so much. Peace out. Okay.
All right, take it easy.
Take care.
You too.
Take care, coach. Bye.
Bye. He called me coach. He's the first person that's called me coach. Everyone calls me Vibe. I heard it. It was like a little coach at the end. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Much love. I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever it might be. Have a great night. Have a great day. Good luck in your games. And thanks for watching. Later, guys.